Welcome to the Explainer! Today, we're diving into what has to be one of the absolute greatest paradoxes in human biology. You know, we generally think of death as this quiet fade to black, right? Like just simply flipping off a switch. But what if I told you that the exact moment you die might actually be the most active, the most intensely alive your brain has ever been?
Your heart just stopped. I really want you to deliberately imagine this with me for a second. One moment it was beating, and now it's just not. It literally happens that fast, that simply. You are sitting precisely at second zero.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going to trace a biological sequence here that science is really only just now beginning to truly wrap its head around. We're mapping out the incredibly short, action-packed 60-second window of the dying process. We'll go from 0 to 10 to 30, all the way to 60 seconds.
Section 1, second zero, the heart stops.
Think of a massive pump just completely losing power. Almost instantaneously, your blood pressure drops to absolute zero. Now, you've got about 5 liters of blood in your body. And just a split second ago, it was rushing through all your veins and arteries. But now, those 5 liters are just sitting there, totally, completely still. There's zero flow, no more oxygen deliveries are being made. But, and here's the truly fascinating part, your brain doesn't actually realize it yet.
Usually, your brain is absolutely the most oxygen-hungry organ you have. It gobbles up roughly 20% of your total oxygen supply at any given moment. So for those first 10 seconds after your heart stops beating, your brain is essentially just running on fumes. It's furiously using up whatever leftover oxygen is trapped in that stagnant blood. Your neurons, they're still firing. Your thoughts are actually still happening. For those first 10 seconds, you are still technically you. But that window is closing incredibly fast, and your cerebral cortex begins to shut down.
Section 2. The Great Brain Surge. 10 seconds in. So from the outside looking in, you seem completely gone. You've lost consciousness. But on the inside, the biology is accelerating dramatically. Back in 2023, Dr. Jima Borjigan, a neuroscientist at the University of Michigan, published this absolutely groundbreaking study where they monitored comatose patients being taken off life support. Her team totally expected to see a slow, quiet fade, but instead, the brain unexpectedly, almost violently exploded with activity. And this brilliantly illustrates what they found, a massive spike of gamma waves. Now, these aren't just your run-of-the-mill brain waves. Gamma waves are deeply associated with consciousness, heightened awareness, pulling up memories, and dreaming. This wasn't just some random static or dying noise. No, it was highly organized, structured activity, heavily concentrated in the temporal parieto-occipital junction. And for context, that's the exact region of the brain linked to visual processing and out-of-body experiences.
So just how big was this spike exactly? Well, to put it in the highly technical medical terms of the lead neuroscientist herself, Dr. Borjigan literally called this surge crazy high. It was this shockingly powerful electrical storm that has completely flipped our entire understanding of what a dying brain is actually capable of.
Section 3. Inside the Life Review, Memory Retrieval.
So, what does a crazy high gamma wave storm actually feel like from the inside? I mean, we've all heard the old cliche, right? Your life flashes before your eyes. But the internal experience of this electrical surge is way more profound than we ever really imagined. Most people assume a life review just plays the highlight reel. You know, your wedding, your graduation, the huge life milestones. But survivors report the exact opposite. The brain actually retrieves the small, utterly ordinary moments, like just riding a bike or checking an email on a random Tuesday. There's this one incredible case where a resuscitated man clearly remembered seeing a white cat on a staircase. He had absolutely no idea where the memory even came from, until his mom confirmed that when he was just 14 months old, they lived in an apartment building with that exact staircase right next to a neighbor who had a white cat. The brain didn't pull a highlight at all. It somehow pulled this hyper-specific, completely mundane detail from when he was barely a toddler.
Section 4. The body goes dark. 30 seconds in.
But while the brain is busy lighting up with these deeply vivid, hyper-real memories, physical reality is really starting to take hold. Let's slow things down a bit here, because right at the 30-second mark, the absolute last of your oxygen is truly gone. Across your entire physical system, every single one of your 37 trillion cells suddenly realizes that those oxygen deliveries, they're never coming back. So in a frantic, desperate bid to survive, they switch over to an emergency backup system called anaerobic respiration. Now, this backup system does keep the cells alive temporarily, but it produces a highly toxic byproduct, lactic acid. And as that acid rapidly builds up, the body physically collapses. Your muscles lose all instruction from the brain and just relax completely. Your jaw drops open. Your eyelids go totally slack. I mean, if you were standing up, you're on the floor now. Your pupils dilate wide and become fixed because the tiny muscles controlling them just completely give out. Your eyes are still physically intact, sure, but they've essentially become mere lenses, staring blankly with seemingly no one behind them.
So the crucial point is this intense, almost completely unimaginable paradox taking place. On the outside, you've got slack muscles, rapid lactic acid buildup, and this frankly terrifying physical shutdown. But on the inside, you've got crazy high gamma surges, bright lights, extremely vivid memories, and a profound sense of clarity. The outside is entirely collapsing, while the inside is experiencing unparalleled vibrancy. It's wild.
And listen, this isn't just some abstract theory. Enter Dr. Sam Parnia's massive AWARE 2 study on cardiac arrest. The hard medical data literally validates that dying is not this dark, empty void. Check this out. Of the survivors they studied, 40% had some perception of consciousness while they were clinically dead. 20% had a recalled experience of death featuring structured thoughts, and an absolutely incredible 3% reported full visual and auditory awareness. That means they could actually see and hear exactly what was happening in the room around them while their hearts were stopped and the monitors were showing flat lines.
When you actually start reading through these survivor reports, there is just an eerie, overwhelming consistency to them. People report feeling like they weren't alone. They frequently see deceased relatives who seem to be there just to meet them. Many are explicitly told, hey, it's not your time. And almost universally, across the board, they report a deep, entirely indescribable sense of peace. Now, science hasn't completely settled whether this is just a beautiful, comforting hallucination generated by a panicked, dying brain, or if it's something else entirely. But the hard data proves that the experience itself is incredibly real to the people actually going through it.
Section 5. 60 seconds biological limbo.
Okay, we are exactly 1 full minute in. Surprisingly, your body temperature has barely dropped at all at this point. Your skin is only just starting to look a little pale. This is the absolute critical window where, despite everything we've just gone over, resuscitation is actually still highly possible. But we are entering a phase called autolysis. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that autolysis essentially means self-digestion. Because of that huge lactic acid buildup we talked about earlier, the tiny membranes inside your cells are significantly weakening, and enzymes are starting to leak out. This is the very, very beginning of your cells breaking themselves down. But at exactly the 1 minute mark, your cells are mostly still intact. Structurally, they are whole. They are basically just waiting.
They're basically waiting at a biological crossroads with 2 totally different paths forward. Path 1 is intervention. A paramedic jumps in and starts CPR, or a defibrillator delivers a shock, restoring that precious oxygen and literally reversing this entire cellular process. Path 2, though, is no intervention. If no one comes, if absolutely no shock is delivered, then this minute, this single, profoundly action-packed minute, permanently solidifies into the final minute of your existence.
And honestly, this brings us to exactly why all of this matters so deeply to us right now. The ordinary Tuesdays. You see, when we look at the people who actually manage to come back from that biological limbo, they never come back wanting more money or more status. Never. They come back desperately wanting more time, and specifically, more time in those incredibly ordinary, seemingly mundane moments. Because as we saw with that crazy gamma brain surge, those are the exact moments the brain clearly values the most. It meticulously recorded all of them. Which ultimately leaves us sitting with one of the most profound mysteries of the entire human experience. Are absolutely all of our memories still locked in there somewhere? Every ordinary Tuesday, every random childhood staircase, every forgotten face? And is the dying brain's final, remarkably beautiful act to simply unlock that vast, incredible archive of a human life, giving you one last perfect playback before the lights finally go out for good? Definitely something to think about next time you're just, going about your ordinary day.